We have the privilege in this morning to be able to do a little interview with Dr. Daniel Bourdanné, our dear General Secretary of IFES. Before we started, I asked him, Daniel, may I ask you about what are you reading? And he said, no. And later he went on to explain, because if I start to speak about what I am reading, I will get so excited that we won't go to eat at lunch. So thank you, Daniel, for this time.
Thank you.
What has been your relationship with books?
Books are part of my life, and I love books, and you ask the question of relationships, and I really love books, and not only for the content of the books, but for the book by itself. Really, for me, holding a book and touching the cover, there is a special relationship, and then you open it, you smell it. The smell of the ink.
We all love it.
It's really fascinating. And this is about relationship. It's like, the scripture, when we talk about the love of the scripture, actually it is similar to the love of book, how you feel it, how you touch it. And also, I am a self-learner. I learn things by myself and computer, all kind of practical stuff, theology and so on. So books are good resources to help me to understand stuff and so on. So this is just briefly a kind of how I can describe my relationship with books.
Can you say that books become friends?
Yes, books become friends. They are really good friends. And actually, everywhere I live, I will have books. Currently, I think I have 3 libraries. I have one back home in Ivory Coast where I used to live. I have one in my office. I have one in my house, which is actually bigger than my library in the office. So they are really friends. And how can you live without loving books? I don't understand. And of course, when I speak about the books, I'm not just speaking about, paper, because books are about a message, and you see through the history, the format of the book has changed. God himself was a publisher, and he was a writer as well. And when you look over the history, the format was stones and then skins and then, leaves. And now we have papers, and now we are shifting to the digital format. So for me, I'm not talking just about the format, the paper books. I talk about the book as a way to communicate a message.
3 libraries. My wife always yells at me when I come home with one more book. So now I have something to tell her.
And
Thank you, Daniel.
It's really dangerous because I need to be careful not to go to a bookshop with some money in my pocket. Then I will come out with an empty pocket, and my family will be in trouble for food,
Daniel, some of our movements are engaging in writing. Some others don't. What do you think about all the effort, time that it has to be put into writing? Is it worthy?
I think we cannot do a student ministry without taking seriously the production of books aspects. It's a part of our ministry. So publishing is a part of our DNA. We cannot survive without writing, without publishing in all formats. So for me, we need to invest in producing books, developing authors, helping the movements who are doing publishing to publish. So I understood very quickly when I became staff, and when I was in French-speaking Africa, we developed a publishing house because it's a key. And mainly in such a context like French-speaking Africa, where you have very little materials in French for the evangelical churches, it becomes really key and important to develop a publishing house. So it's part of our ministry. I cannot envision IFES ministry without developing authors, without developing publishing houses. And it's also, from my view, a best way to contribute to the society. And our publishing initiatives will produce theological reflections, will produce some practical things, giving out to the students, but also to the churches. So it's really important for IFES movements to take the publishing house, the publishing seriously.
One last question. Do you have any advice to any staff, student, or board of a member that really wants to start writing?
Yeah, the advice is just write. Yeah, write and write and write. And sometimes the students are maybe scared about the writing and they want to produce a very sophisticated thing. And coming from a French-speaking culture, we are sometimes so elitist, then we discourage young people to try writing because we want perfect things. I think that is not right. We need to encourage our students to write, to try, destroy. Actually, when you read about books, you will see that most of the Nobel Prize winners, they destroy their manuscript more than 10 times before publishing. Sometimes it goes until 70 times. They write, they destroy, they rewrite, they destroy, they rewrite again, they destroy, because it needs a discipline. Don't be afraid and invest in writing, and write for yourself, write for others as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.